of conditional violence may sometimes be required just to protect people who are being attacked. So anyhow, so we have these two important figures in our history, Tagore and Gandhi, and the complexity of their views on nationalism. Now let's come to our present situation for a bit. Though so much has been said, so much ink has been spilled, thankfully not so much blood, but so much ink has been spilled. And to me, when I heard the title of this series, what the nation really needs to know, you know, if I also asked, does that mean that we in JNU, as my friend Kanhaiya also said, हम उनको बताएंगे क्या है? क्या हमको सुनना भी नहीं है? हमको सिर्फ सबको बताना है? हमने सब कुछ समझ लिया है? हमको सुनना भी तो चाहिए वो लोग क्या कहते हैं, है ना? ये मुझे लगता है. So this is the diatopical intermediality I was telling you about. हम कुछ कहेंगे और कुछ सुनेंगे भी, है ना? और जब हम उनकी बातें सुनते हैं तो गलतफहमियां तो हैं, लेकिन ऐसे लगता है कि यहाँ से जो डिस्कोर्स निकलता है, जो चर्चा निकलती है, बातें, इट्स वेरी एंटी, सकारात्मक नहीं लगता. ऐसे मुझे लोगों ने कहा है, सोचने वाले भी, सब नकारात्मक ही है. And then the question arises, there are very important questions here that we should really consider, which is that somebody said here, I mean, लड़ेंगे, झगड़ेंगे, ये करेंगे, fellowship भी बढ़ाएंगे. Wonderful if you can accomplish it. I mean, but this is our own state. We have elected these people. Unless you say this bourgeois democracy, we don't believe in. And this is the rub. This is when I come to the last part of my talk. What is left? Left here has a double meaning, obviously. That is, what is left of the nation, मतलब क्या बचा है? जब हमने जो middle ground था उसको ही destroy कर दिया है. सिर्फ extremes बचे हैं. क्या बचा है देश का? But left of the nation means also what the leftists have been saying. My friend Kanhaiya said yesterday that हमारा सबसे पुराना संगठन है और हमने आजादी की बहुत लड़ाई करी है. But I want to ask him, what about the flip-flop that happened by the Communist Party of India when they suddenly declared that the imperialist war was a people's war? What happened to that? And I can quote, I have the text here. They said to the British, the Communist Party wrote a secret letter. They said, we will not agitate when you're fighting. We will cooperate with you. So when he said that we fought for India's independence, I mean, that is the left student associations. I want to know what the evidence is. It's very important to ask these questions. Similarly, if you allow me to speak, and I might ask my friend, Kanhaiya is right here. He said Golwalkar met Mussolini. Didn't you say that? Did you not say that? In your speech. But did you check your facts? It's Munje who met Mussolini, not even Hedgewar. I mean, I'm not saying that they were not impressed by the fascists. They were. They thought it's a very good idea to have an authoritarian system. So please, let's agree on what is factual and what's not factual. But we have to check our facts. That's my point. So fascism stands for a certain kind of anti-democratic position. But so does Stalinism. I'm proud to belong to a country where one so-called judicial murder created such a huge ruckus. Do you know how many judicial murders were committed from 1920 to 1950 in Stalinist USSR? Do you have any idea? 99,553. Almost 1 million. And how many people were executed for criminal and civil charges? Only 34,000. How many people went to the Gulag? 14 million. How many perished there? 1.4 million. Now, my submission is, and where am I getting these facts? From Soviet records. Please look, please. Iski bhi charcha honi chahiye. What I'm trying to say is fascists are anti-democratic, but we have to also look at the record of some of our friends from the left. They were very anti-democratic. Stalin certainly was. He killed everybody who disagreed with him. And he killed Trotsky as well. And this is not new in JNU. 1970s, you read the history of JNU. I think the author is somewhere here. I saw him earlier. There he is. There was a very interesting Trotskyite called Jairas Banaji. And he challenged I mean, the most charismatic established left leader, who was none other than Comrade Prakash Karat, and in the following year, Anand Kumar defeated Karat in the JNU poll as a free thinker. So we have to look at our own history and see what has happened. So please let's examine these details and see who tolerates democracy, who tolerates dissent, who doesn't. Now, we've had so many statements from everywhere. Can you show me a statement from North Korea over there? Or even from China? Because in China, even today, I've been to China 5 times, and it's ruled by the Communist Party of India, but it's a capitalist state, as you know. But you know, I've met many Chinese intellectuals in a cafe over a drink. They can tell you whatever you like. They'll tell you how bad certain things were. But ask them to take out a morcha, they can't. You go to Tiananmen Square and take out one poster. See what happens. You'll be whisked away. Where? Who knows? So who's democratic, who's not democratic is something we have to deeply, deeply ask ourselves. Allow me just 2 more things. I gave you a very important instance of what happened during the independence movement. 2 more instances, and then मैं खत्म करता हूँ अपनी बात, and you can ask me questions. The second time, so India became independent in 47, and the Communist Party of India, which was then not divided, was led by a man called Ranadive, and he gave a slogan, "Ye azadi jhoothi hai." Romesh Thapar, who edited a journal called Crossroads, was trying to smuggle because he was taking them to Telangana, and Nehru evoked sedition. He also evoked sedition against organizer. Let me tell you, दोनों side, Nehru said, boss, ये क्या हो रहा है? दोनों side कह रहे थे in different ways, they were attacking independence. So ये आजादी झूठी है, these slogans have persisted over time. So the communist line on India's independence followed Stalin, where he said revolution in the colonies would be a 2-step process. In the first step, you would have a bourgeois kind of revolution or a bourgeois takeover of power, and the second step you would have a truly communist government in place. So this 2-step theory was followed even in India. Another moment when China invaded India, EMS Nambudripad sided and said India is the aggressor. So the only thing I'm trying to say is that why is it so difficult to accept the legitimacy of the Indian state for many people in both the established left? Forget about the Maoists. The Maoists in India believe in armed revolution to dislodge this government, take over power. And you know that DSU is an offshoot of this Maoist party. And let me also tell you, please look at the letter of resignation that Umar Khalid Anirban wrote from Dusu. You know what they said? We are resigning because there's no scope for dissent. There's no democracy in Dusu. Look at the ironies of these situations, okay? I just want you to be alive to them, please. So that was another moment. And the third moment, if you want to look at it, is what happens after the collapse of the Soviet Union. And you look at the New Left Review issues, and it's a great crisis. What to do? Because the only counter to imperialism, the only counter to capitalism is now gone. And they said, well, within the state, within the bourgeois state, be a critic, which I accept. But the point I'm trying to make is that different shades of the left in India have had a great deal of trouble in accepting the legitimacy of the elected government of India, whoever the party is. Now, the real question is this: from where does the left, let's say, forget the left, but certain kinds of left, because there are all kinds of left. There was a Congress left called the Socialists, Aruna Asaf Ali, Achyut Patwardhan, JP. These were branded by the Communist Party of India. Look at the dialogue. There's a progressive left. There were writers like Mulk Raj Anand, they were thrown out. Manto was thrown out for indecency. So it's a complicated story. I don't want to simplify it. But the one thing I want to ask you is this. When you say that we will overthrow the elected government, where do you derive your legitimacy from? Is it that all the peasants have been polled to give you the legitimacy? I submit for your consideration that the legitimacy, what authorizes violence in this case. And you know the summary execution of informants. Please read what happens. If you're thought to be an informant, you're executed by these people. I can give you figures. Anyhow, where does it derive its authorization? Where does it derive its legitimacy? I submit to you, it derives its legitimacy and authorization from ideology. So it's like a theological authorization. It's not through any plebiscite or vote which says, yeah. So if people in JNU had voted, let's say the student union had organized an actual debate like was done in Oxford Union on the eve of the war, World War II, when they said this house believes that England, Britain should not join the war or something, and they voted and they won. That was not sedition. The point being that let's have a debate, let's see how many people on this campus support separatism in Kashmir. We could have a debate. Let's see how many, the 8,000 students in JNU, apparently, according to Professor Shupori's statement. If you go to the website, the latest, I'm so sorry, I apologize. Yeah. I'm getting carried away, I'm wandering about here and there. But the JNU website's figures are not updated. It's 2009 are the figures, and they sit at around 7,000 students. And you know that my friend here, whom I deeply respect, Kanhaiya Kumar, was elected by a little over 1,000 votes, right? And the second person got 600 and some odd votes. You can correct me as to the actual figures, but shouldn't we have a real debate? And you'll find, my suspicion is I live on this campus, I've been here for 16 years. Exactly, that's right, but let's poll, I agree, but let's poll. Let's poll how many students support Kashmiri separatism, and then, no, not now. Let's have a proper, thank you. But you'll see, with due respect to you, you're far outnumbered. 5 people raised their hands, but even so, anyhow, please, let's get back to the point. Even so, I'm saying that that's another way to do it. That's my point. And then there would be a legitimacy to this kind of movement. And why not? I mean, every form of opinion should be respected. I don't think that is the issue. My question was that when something is authorized, what is it that authorizes it? And to me, social contract, call it Locke, call it Rousseau, is the basis of modern democracy, where people and their rulers have a contract that we vote you and you represent our will. Okay, anyhow, now I'll just come to the end of my talk, which was simply that when we consider ourselves to be a democratic space, we should also ask ourselves if this is entirely true. Isn't it possible that this is a left hegemonic space where if you disagree, you're silenced, you're boycotted, you're browbeaten, right? Or sometimes you're brainwashed. I can give you so many examples, but let me just say one thing. I love JNU too. I love JNU as much as anybody else. Love is very important. 2 minutes, finish. 2 minutes. I agree. He's told me the right thing. He says, you're a speaker, don't go into one-to-one. I absolutely respect. I'll finish in 2 minutes. But what makes us special, I think, is we don't beat the people we disagree with. We can bully them, but we don't beat them. I haven't been beaten here as yet. But exactly, where the other people said there's a reward and all. But I stand in solidarity of all those who want to protect the autonomy, not only of JNU, but of all educational institutions. I stand in solidarity of those who demand due process, who believe in the institutions, not just of a university, but of a country. All democratic institutions. I stand by all this. But the only thing I'm trying to submit to you is that even I have been a victim of a campaign of vilification. Let me tell you, there's been open letters against me, and somebody circulating something today. I don't know what it is. I've never signed a Hindi petition abhi tak. ये पूरा हिंदी में उसमें मेरा नाम भी जोड़ दिया, पता नहीं क्या मैंने पढ़ा नहीं है. But the only thing I wanted to say to you is this. Look, after these things happened, this is my last point. You know, I was walking to the department and I saw this person with a placard, you know, on a bicycle. I'm not anti-national, right? And I think we are not anti-national, I agree. And when you hear my views, some of these views which are critical of what I consider left hegemonic practices, sometimes bordering on left dictatorial practices, all right? I hope I don't have to carry a sign saying, I'm not anti-JNU, okay? I'm like all of you. I mean, and if you read any book of mine, I acknowledge JNU, I acknowledge my colleagues, I acknowledge my students. And I stand here before you because I believe that this performative is also important, where we discuss ideas, we uphold the right of each other to disagree, and we don't reduce all politics to sloganeering and self-complacency, but interrogate our own positions. And this is what I mean by the ditopical hermeneutics, where we are able to acknowledge the incompleteness of our own positions and go forward. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.